everybody, welcome to my homestead and welcome to my channel. Boy, do I think that this is an interesting one. So it went off on an unexpected turn as I was looking into this. I got an email from Scott Keel and it says, "Good morning. Wanted to point out that the new Lindon, Utah temple is going to be built with 2 baptistries. Could this be for the millennium? We know that temple work will be a huge part of the millennium. The Salt Lake Temple is going to have 2 baptistries, which I thought was interesting, but now a new temple. What are your thoughts?" So, I painstakingly, I went through that one temple website. It's not an official church website, but it's kind of like the main go-to website for church temples. And I went through everyone. And I did a search to see how many temples have 2 baptistries, because this got me wondering and thinking. And frankly, I didn't know whether or not there were some temples up till now that did have 2 baptistries, and I just never thought about it. Up until I started doing this YouTube channel, I didn't really think too much about a lot of these things, but now I am. And so I found out. I'll show you what I found out with some other interesting things that came up along the way. Okay, so we all know, I think most of us probably know, that, like he said here, the Salt Lake Temple is going to have 2 baptistries as part of its renovation. Here's the original one. This is the one that I'm familiar with. I've gone here many times, as a youth, and I love it. It's beautiful. I love this baptistry. So here's the original one, and then this is going to be the second one that's added, and it's more in line with like the newer modern baptismal fonts and baptistries that they do in new temples, where you have like this glass that goes around, and it's like down here you can't really see the oxen down there. So, and this is really nice too. This, I think, is just a rendering. Yeah, a rendering. Oops, whoa. Let's go back. It's like a pretty realistic looking rendering, though. So that's what it'll look like. Okay, so, and yes, the Syracuse, Utah temple right here, the Lindon, Utah temple, will have 2 baptistries according to churchofjesuschristtemples.org. Again, this is not a church website, but it is a really good website for temple facts and history and pictures and everything else. So I'll put all these links in the description below. So this one was announced October of 2020, and it has 2 baptistries, as you can see here. And then here's a picture of the temple. I don't know necessarily if it means anything, but this got me kind of thinking about how you have like the 2 spire design here in this temple, and this is one of the few temples that are going to have, that I know of, that are going to have 2 baptistries. Baptistries. And the Salt Lake Temple is, the same design as far as having the 2 main spires. And it got me wondering, and I'll probably have to do another video on this sometime, but I'm starting to think that maybe this is kind of a special design or a significant design, because you think of other significant temples that have the 2 main spires. You have the Kansas City temple, for example, which is right there where the New Jerusalem is going to be. Not saying that it will be the temple of the New Jerusalem, but it's in that special place, and it has 2 spires. There's also the Rome temple, and which obviously is also a very significant temple. So it makes me kind of wonder about some of the architecture of some of the temples, and if certain temples with certain architecture have additional meaning or purpose. I'm not sure. So anyway, so we have the Lindon, Utah temple, and then we have the Syracuse temple. Now this one does not have a second main spire, but this one is going to have 2 temples, or 2 baptistries. This was announced April of 2020. Okay. And then we have the Smithfield, Utah temple. Also just like the 1 main spire. And this will also have 2 baptistries. This one was announced April of 2021. So based on going through every single temple on the list, these were the only ones I was able to find that are going to have 2 baptistries. And they're all recent announcements. So do I have the list here? No. But I should have done that. Let me pull up the list. Church of Jesus Christ temples. I'm going to go here. Then I'm going to go to Chronology, just to kind of give you the visual. So the only temple that hasn't been announced within the last couple years that's going to have 2 baptistries is the Salt Lake Temple, all the way back here. But all the rest of these temples, none of them have more than just one. And then as you get here, now here's the thing. As you get later on, like once you get to the, not so much the temples under construction section, but the announced temples section, some of these don't have all the details yet. So some of these may, but there's actually a fair number of them here that do have the details, and they say that they're just going to have 1 baptistry. So it makes me wonder. Now, I started thinking about the geography of this, and so let's see, I pulled that up here. Okay, so the Smithfield temple is up here, and then you have, let's see, I think this one, that's the Lindon temple. Here's the Syracuse temple. So Syracuse right here, Smithfield up here, Salt Lake Temple right here, and then the Lindon Temple. Is that? Yeah, it's this one right here. So now they're all Utah temples, right? So one guess that we could make is that it's simply because of the high temple activity in this area, because there's a lot of members of the church in Utah, obviously, and they've talked about that being the reason why they built so many temples. I remember President Hinckley saying, it may seem unfair that the Salt Lake Valley is getting 2 more temples. This was when he was announcing the Draper Temple and the Ochre Mountain Temple, but he said that the numbers justify it. So is that what's happening with these baptistries? It could be, but it could also be, like Scott was wondering, maybe we're starting to get ready for the millennium. That could be too. I don't know, because I don't have access to the temple statistics of how busy they are. So it's kind of hard to say, but let's watch these other temples as we get more details about them and see if they have 1 or 2 baptistries, and if we get any temples outside of Utah that have more than 1 baptistry. For practical purposes, like even if they were ramping up for the millennium or getting prepared for the millennium, there's still the practical side of it. So, for example, over here in Monticello, Utah, a very, very scarcely populated area, there just wouldn't be a practical need at all for this temple to have a second one. So maybe just right now with the higher density areas, and you'll notice that it's kind of spread out too, because you're going to have only one, that we know of anyway, 1 temple with 2 baptistries in Utah Valley, that's down here, and then you'll have the one in Salt Lake Valley, the Salt Lake Temple itself, and then you'll have one up here in what's this area called? Is this Davis County? I always get confused between, I think it goes Weber and then Davis County, but whatever. This kind of more like Ogden metro area, I guess you could say, that will have one. So you have these 3 kind of main population areas, and each has 1 temple with 2 baptistries. And then you have up here, near Logan, and then you're going to have like the Smithfield temple. So I guess this would service all up here and some of Idaho. So I don't know. We're just going to have to keep our eye on it. But I think that's interesting. I really do. This is a recent change in the church. We haven't seen this before just a couple years ago. Before a couple years ago, there had only been one baptistry per temple, and that's it. So this is actually a big new change, and we'll just have to see if it spreads. Now, as I was going through this, and I was looking at every single temple, one by one, one by one, like a crazy person, I saw one temple that really caught my eye. And that temple was the Brasilia, Brazil temple. Now, if you've been watching my channel for a while now, maybe you'll see why this caught my interest. Maybe you'll see why this caught my interest. Look at that. Does that look at all similar to this? Right? Does it look like that? Does it look like this? And weren't we just talking about how these temples, I mean, this one specifically, the Visitor Center in Independence, specifically as part of the planning process with the architect, they made this so that in the future, whenever New Jerusalem gets built up, that this will be essentially one of the temples that's part of the 24 temple complex that's supposed to be there. That's like some of the best evidence that we have that one of these two buildings are going to be a temple, the BYU Jerusalem Center and the Independence Visitor Center. And we've noted the similarity in the arches and how the Independence Visitor Center has the same number of arches and pillars as the BYU Jerusalem Center, at least on the lengthwise. 12 pillars, 11 arches. Okay, so, and then this one, there's been so much that's gone into this building right here. And so many statements made. I can't cover it all in this video. I've already covered it at length. I'm sure that more things will come up over time and I'll do additional videos. But suffice it to say that I think there's good reason to believe that this could become a temple in the future. Officially, right now, as far as the church is concerned, officially, there is to be no proselytizing in Israel, and this is the stated purpose of this building, is to be a campus for BYU in Jerusalem. But that doesn't mean that things can't change in the future. As governments change, as conditions change, I think that the church has gained a lot of respect in Jerusalem, and they've been a very good neighbor to the surrounding community. So things could change. So many things can change so quickly. This world is not a static place. It is dynamic. We cannot get caught into the type of thinking that things are just going to stay the same. Things can change drastically, in a moment. Things that we didn't even think possible, right? So I wouldn't put any limits on this, and I think it'd be good to just consider the fact that this could become a temple in the future, based on what Jeffrey R. Holland has said, specifically, and you'll just have to go back and watch my other videos. There's a lot about the architecture of this building that leads me to believe that they had special plans for this in mind. So anyway, now the interesting thing about the Brasilia temple, I was thinking, okay, so this cannot be a mistake. It can't be. I mean, look, it has like the boxy top, with like the 3 arches up here. Look at the BYU Jerusalem Center. If you're looking at it straight on, you won't see this arch right here. You would see 1, 2, 3. So it's like 1 arch on top, 3 as you're looking at it straight on, and then you have these down here. And then with the Brasilia temple, so it has 7 arches, which that's significant. It's the number 7, and then 8 columns. Okay, but up here it has the 3 arches and then the 1 main arch up here. And again, it has this like boxy kind of design. Take another look at the BYU Jerusalem Center. Very boxy, kind of cube-like at the top. Let's look over here again. Okay, it's not exactly the same, obviously. Let's look at the Jerusalem, or the Independence Visitor Center, and it's different. But again, you might just say, oh, well, that's just like an access door to the roof, and the AC and stuff. But I don't know. It has a boxy appearance on the top. That might be more of a stretch, but I just think that it's interesting. Independence, Missouri, and Jerusalem are going to be the 2 capitals of the world in the future. They're going to be the 2 main capitals of the world, Old Jerusalem and New Jerusalem. Now, now going back to what I was saying, I was wondering, why in the world would they do this? Is it just, they just happened to do this? Or was this planned? And if it was planned, then why? Well, if this was intentional, the one thing that might be the reason why is because Brasilia is Brazil's beautiful national capital. Okay? Brasilia is the capital of Brazil. And then it says here, renowned for its unique architecture. So here's the part where you could use this to doubt whether this was intentional or not, as far as like saying that there's something special about this temple or whatever the case may be. I looked up Brasilia architecture, just doing an image search here, and yeah, it is very unique and lively down there. I'd say that it most looks like maybe this structure right here. Let's see, Britannica.org. Let's open that up and let's see what that building is, if it says it. What is that? Okay, Itamaraty Palace, headquarters of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So, so here you go. You have a similar architecture here. So an argument could be made, it's nothing more than just they want to fit in with, they always copy the architecture of the area. And yeah, I guess that could be true, but you also can't deny what's going on here and what's going on here, right? And the fact that these 2 buildings are in future world capitals. So I don't know. I guess you'll just have to let me know what you think below. How many? Okay, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay, so, 14 arches, 15 pillars on that side, whatever. Yeah, no, okay, and here's a cool, I'll put the link for this down below as well. Here's a cool 3D rendering of the temple that someone put together. I guess Brian Olson, the Brian Olson channel. So look at that. Now, with this, it looks like you have the 7 arches on each side. Now wait, that's not 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So you have 10 columns and 9 on that side. But still up top you have the 3 arches, no matter which way you look, if you're looking straight on at the temple. And then the one big one on top. Yeah, it's longer this way than it is that way. So it's not like whatever, it's not square. Let's look at and see the BYU Jerusalem Center. Now see if this is going to be the kind of like spire type feature of the temple, if this becomes a temple, this is offset. And like I pointed out in previous videos, this actually lines up. If you're looking down on this, it matches up perfectly with the proportions. I don't know about the actual measurement because I didn't get into the measurements of the tabernacle in Solomon's temple, but the proportions, at least, if you put an overlay of Solomon's temple and especially the tabernacle, this fits perfectly inside that. Not these like outside blocks right here like this one, but this line of blocks right here fits perfectly inside the Holy of Holies and Holy Place. There was a church depiction of the tabernacle, and I took that and I overlaid it over a satellite image, and it fits perfectly. And of course, I mean, I don't have perfect satellite imagery, and I know it's a little bit blurry, but it's enough to where you can tell that it does fit that spot, okay? Even if it's not perfect, it's close enough, and let alone this matching that, but the outside like rectangle or the perimeter of the building matches the perimeter of the tabernacle and Solomon's temple. So I can't. That's why I have to think that this probably is going to be a temple. That along with many other things. But again, go watch those videos. So there you go. So New Jerusalem, Old Jerusalem, and the capital of Brazil. There you go. Let me know what you think below. Is it just a coincidence, or do you think that this is, a special building, and we're starting to come into a millennial age, and maybe that's why this is showing up now? This was announced. Let's see when it was announced. So it was announced April of 2017, and again, 2017. It's that really special year. It was special in Judaism. It's viewed as special among, I think, most of Christendom, the ones who are watching for the signs of the times. We've talked about 2017 at length, so I don't know if that factors in to this. But there you go. There you go. Okay, yeah, so that's it. That's it for this one. I hope you enjoyed it. Please let me know what you think below. If you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe, like this video if you liked it. Also make sure to share it, and I'll talk to you guys later.